Welcome to the Vibrant Visibility Podcast. Being visible as a soul-led business owner isn't just about the practical strategies, marketing tips, and tech systems. It's also about the internal systems, the safety of your nervous system, the somatic connection, and the embodiment of being a badass CEO that will support you in all of the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. And I'm here to share all of that with you on this show. I'm your host, Shawnee Arsenault, a registered nurse turned visibility coach and business mentor for heart-centered coaches and healers. I created a six-figure coaching practice in my first year of business and scaled to multiple six figures my second year, all in the middle of getting pregnant with my first baby and becoming a new mama. If I can do this entrepreneurship thing, I know you can too. If you're ready to learn how to be a CEO in a way that feels aligned with your heart, become a lighthouse for the people that you're meant to serve, feel free to authentically express yourself and be a magnet for success, and grow your coaching business in a way that is sustainable and fulfilling, I can't wait to be in your ear along for the ride. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Vibrant Visibility Podcast. Okay, so there's been something on my mind lately, and it's something that's come up in a lot of my spaces too. Like I actually just recently did an awesome workshop a couple weeks ago with my membership on the art of tracking, like tracking your connections. And then we talked about templating and like actions that you can take or systems that you can put in place to save yourself energy. And honestly, there are a lot of things that drain your energy as a business owner, but reinventing the wheel every single week is probably at the top of the list of those things that drain your energy as a business owner. You know, whenever I think of this, I think of sitting down at your desk and like thinking to myself, "Ugh, what should I post today?" Or wait, how did I do that thing last time? Like what process did I use for that? Or like trying to go back and look at stuff you've already done so you can replicate it, but then doing a lot of manual work for it. So if that is you, if you've ever kind of like found yourself wondering, like, how did I do that? Or whatever, this episode is going to be some gold for you. Because today we're talking all about the power of creating a repeatable framework in your business. And I'm talking repeatable framework, meaning things like templates, things like SOPs, automations, having a menu like of choices for you to kind of decrease that need for manual decision making. Like you'll basically deciding things way ahead of time, having rituals for yourself. So like all the little systems that help you rinse and repeat the things that bring in income and the things that have really high impact in the growth of your business without needing to overthink every single time. So this is hopefully going to be a very practical episode for some of you. And we're also going to talk a little bit about energy too. We're going to talk about some things that aren't super practical, but can help change your mindset around it. So I want to start with what's really going on, right? Like, why are we so tired as entrepreneurs? Most of the coaches and the creatives that I work with are not tired because they're doing too much. They're tired because they're doing too much unstructured, unrepeatable work. And I'll break that down just a little bit. Like they're making new decisions over and over again for things that could have been templated, automated, delegated. Whenever our brain has to make these new decisions every single time, we get exhausted. It's exhausting to have to go through the whole decision-making process for something that you do over and over and over again. And that mental load starts to add up, right? It's what I like to call micro energy leaks. So it's like constantly wondering what you're going to say online when you do a live. It's constantly rewriting the same types of emails and messages from scratch. It's forgetting where you saved your launch plan, so you have to create a whole new one, right? It's like getting stuck in that fog of what should I be focusing on today? Having a new to-do list created every single day that has no structure, no direction. It's not purposeful, right? You're just kind of brain dumping the things that you think you need to do. So even when you're technically not doing a ton, your brain is in constant state of decision fatigue because you're having to make all of these decisions from scratch, right? For those of us who are ADHD, neurodivergent, highly sensitive, recovering perfectionist, or just like human, that's exhausting. That is so exhausting. And like your body feels it. My body feels it whenever I'm in decision fatigue. You're more likely to procrastinate. You're more likely to spiral into doubting yourself about every decision you make, or even just like not showing up at all, like just completely avoiding all of it because not because you're lazy, but because your nervous system is saying, I don't feel safe or supported enough to do this again, to keep doing this. Right. So, whew, did you relate to any of that? As I was talking about that, is that something that is you're like part of your current experience as a business owner? Because if it is, I want you to take a deep breath and we're gonna do something together here today. We're gonna build something that holds you better. So, repeatable business framework. What is that? Like, what do I mean whenever I say repeatable business framework? And I want you guys to know this isn't just you creating really strict rules for yourself. It's not a strict formula, a one size fits all kind of plan, whatever. It's a living, breathing rhythm in your business, right? If your business was a living, breathing thing, it is the rhythm that you've built inside of that living thing. It's a way to do things you already do, but with less mental effort and more energetic expansiveness, ease. Okay. And here's what that could look like. I have a few different categories of how you can do this inside of your business. So the first way is through templates. And templates are essentially reusable copy, reusable things that you can use for Instagram captions, for launch emails, for onboarding messages, for connection messages to new leads. A few go-to ways that you talk about your offers or your values or even your results. Things like a caption vault organized by like theme or topic. I literally have a vault and Airtable called my content bank, where I take all of the captions that I've written in the past and I put them all in here. And if they perform really well, or if they're something that I can reuse later, I can go back to it. So templates is one way you can create this system, this living, breathing organism that is your business. Another category is like repeatable routines, right? So for me, I have a weekly CEO check-in. Mine usually happens on like Monday mornings with my OBM. I have a meeting with my OBM on Monday mornings, and we just kind of like look at the landscape of my business. That's usually whenever I have my money dates too. I'll look at my bookkeeping software. I'll double check everything. I have dashboards set up inside of my business where I can look at like revenue and things like that. So I have like a weekly CEO, like kind of check-in time. And then I also have one CEO day every month where I go through and I do like a really deep dive on like analyzing my business, looking at my like lead generation tracking stuff. I look at pieces of my program that need a little bit of refining, right? I also have like a monthly reflection ritual. So I assess my offers, my energy, my time, my income, what the priority is. If my priority that month is lead generation, I'll focus on connecting. If my priority that month is content creation, I'll plan out some days to batch content. If my priority is a launch, I will plan out what that launch is gonna look like on those, like, CEO days. I also do some quarterly planning too, like, quarterly planning flows that kind of help my business feel a little bit more cohesive and not just, like, arbitrary timelines, not just like I'm throwing spaghetti at the wall. I actually have a structure, a plan for how I want the year to flow, and then obviously that can shift as we go, but having a plan and just kind of checking in quarterly to see like, okay, what does my business need? What does my life need? How do I want my business to support my life in this season? Do I need to bring in more income? Do I need to focus a little bit more on creation and back end? Like, what does my business need? Like, we're having repeatable routines for that. I've talked about this in a previous podcast, I think, but SOPs is another way to create that repeatable, living, breathing rhythm inside of your business. SOPs are standard operating procedures. And so having a process, writing down a process for how you onboard a client, how you upload a podcast episode, or how you send out your newsletter or whatever, how you prep your launches or how you prep your content across like 2 to 3 weeks, right? It doesn't have to be fancy. These processes, these repeatable things in your business don't have to be fancy. They just need to be written down somewhere. And they have to be super clear so that you're not recreating it from scratch every single time and you kind of know what you need to be doing and how you did it the first time. Another thing I like to do is have my clients, like I have this in the tracker that I create for them, but I have them create like visibility and connection menus, right? So like a pre-decided list of post types that feel aligned or like, you know, messages that they could send to people, like different connection actions, like friend requesting people on social media or follower requesting. If they're feeling a little bit higher energy, then they could, do like a little reach out to those people. If they're feeling even higher energy, they could do a live on Instagram or something like that, right? So like having a menu of things that will move the needle forward and you can choose depending on what energy you're in so that you always feel like you are doing something that is purposeful in your business and that is going to create a lot of impact. Another thing you can have as repeatable in your business is all of the things related to your offer, right? So having templates for sales pages so that if you create a new offer, you have a template that you can just plug and play that information in. Same thing with like workshops. If you do a workshop, having a template for a workshop outline and plugging in whatever topic you're doing the workshop on. Saving Canva graphics as templates. I have a whole video that I did that kind of like walked through how to make brand templates on Canva. It's on my Instagram, I think. Again, nothing robotic. You're personalizing all of this stuff with your own language, but anything that's repeatable, you put inside of some kind of template, some kind of automation, some kind of something that prevents you from having to start from scratch with that task. So just building blocks, right? That let you respond to inspiration with a little bit more ease. So how does this save energy and create consistency? So the real magic is when you create a system like this, you're not just keeping things organized, you are delegating energy back to yourself. And that, let me tell you what that means. So you can show up online without feeling like you're burning out because you have a specific process that you use whenever you show up online and you don't have to make all those decisions. You can go on vacation without everything falling apart. If you have a process for putting out content that is either automated or routine that you don't have to think about, that's planned out ahead of time, you can be a mom, you can be a partner, you can be a human and run a consistent, beautiful, heart-led business. You're not you're basically not using all of your creative juices on admin shit, right? You're using it where it counts. You're using it on things like coaching, things like storytelling. You're using it for healing, for visioning, for holding space for other people, for holding space for your clients. You're using it in a way that, your energy is best used. Your time and your energy are the two most important currencies in your business, right? And the income, the money that you make is the result of that. The more your back end is structured, the more your front end can be wild, embodied, artistic, intuitive. I talked about this in a previous episode, but your back end is like that masculine energy, and your front end is like that wild, artistic, creative, feminine energy, right? The structure doesn't replace your creativity, right? It protects it, it holds it. All right, so let me give you a few real examples of what this looks like in my own business. So I have a content repurposing system in my business. So whenever I record a podcast episode like this one, I already know I'm pulling a few quotes from Instagram. I'm pulling some captions. I'm turning the transcript into a blog post. I'm turning the main story into some kind of something that I can use for a reel or content. And I'm sprinkling a lot of that in across a bunch of different parts of my business, across a bunch of different platforms and places that I post content. right? And it all starts from this video that I'm shooting and the transcript from the episode that I record. And a lot of that isn't always like scripted. I have an outline of topics that I want to talk about, but I also, talk a little bit more naturally. So everything that I recreate and repurpose from this episode, I know is in my authentic voice. So even if I'm having an off week, I've already built in being visible without thinking about it because I have this like foundational, like main piece of content. It's called hero content. And that's not something that I've come up with. It's a framework that's floating around in the entrepreneurial world all the time. But I use a hero piece of content that I then split up into a bunch of little things. I also have kind of a launch framework, right? Every time I launch a new round of Vibrant Visibility or I do a sale for my membership or whatever, I kind of follow this like 4-phase system of I do a little bit of prep. I kind of make some decisions ahead of time about when the dates are and whatnot. I'm like what kind of conversion events I want to do. So if I want to do like a workshop or like a free spot giveaway or something like that, I'll prep that. I'll do a warm up phase where I create a wait list for my offer or I do something special, right? I do like some kind of live challenge. And then I have a third phase where it's like go time. Like this is the actual launch period. This is the actual sale for my membership, whatever. And then I have like this cool down phase where I bring everything down. I spend a lot of time in that cool down phase connecting with people that engaged with that launch period. And I've got kind of a system that I work through with like spreadsheets and Google Docs and all that stuff that's already mapped out for each launch. And then I just duplicate it for the next. And that saves me so much time, guys. Like the first time I ever did one of these launches, I made sure to document everything and what I was doing so that the next time I did it, I just duplicated it. So if you don't really have these repeatable systems yet, document what you're doing, document the process that you actually execute something. And so whenever you go to do it again, you already know what you're doing. You have a roadmap. You don't have to think about that part. You can just create. I have an onboarding SOP too, that when someone joins my one-on-one coaching or my group program, that welcome email is already written and automatically sent out. That onboarding form is already linked to that. The call schedule is automated. So I get to be present for my client instead of wondering, did I forget to send the intake form? Did they sign the contract? Like everything is in one place. And all of that lets me focus on the connection with my client and the delivery of an awesome coaching container and not the logistics, like the stupid technical stuff. So those are some ways that that shows up inside of my business. So how can you start this? How can you start building this into your own landscape of your business? You don't have to overhaul everything at once. I always say this to my clients is like whenever we're thinking about implementing systems in your business, we don't want to just completely overhaul everything. We want to do this slowly. We want to do it in little bits and pieces because that's what's going to make it sustainable. So start here, okay? Choose one repeatable task that you do often. Is it content creation? Is it you launch pretty often? You onboard new clients very often, right? What is one repeatable task that you do over and over again in your business that you do a lot of manual work for? Are you writing those welcome emails personally every single time? Like that type of stuff. So write out the steps that you take to complete that task, right? If it's planning a launch, what are all the steps that you use to plan a launch? If it is onboarding a new client, what are those steps? Even if it's messy or, in your voice notes, whatever that is, capture the process. You can even like screen record and walk yourself through it and recording your screen. So even if it's messy, capture the process. Then create one template, one checklist, one step-by-step thing that allows you, like if you were a new team member, if you were a VA or somebody that you hire to come take over your business for one day, like could they do everything on that list? Right? Save a caption, duplicate an email, Write down your call flow. I would also look at what you've done in the past, like emails that you've sent clients in the past, messages that you sent to potential clients on social media, and screenshot them, put them in a Google Doc and make those templates, because those are the ones that sound like your voice, right? They sound like you because they were created and authored from you being in a place of genuine connection and not like trying to sound salesy, right? This is how you stop sending generic stuff to people and start really like infusing your own voice into your business, into everything that you do in your business that requires talking to a human or being in front of a human. Notice what helps you feel settled. That's like the final part here, is notice what freedom that gives you, right? The goal is not to have all of these systems be picture perfect. We're looking for that energetic relief. So notice what systems will help you feel that energetic relief. Like if you were able to duplicate and replicate this specific task to get that decision making off of your plate, would you feel relief from that? Right? This is how you stop guessing what to do each day. And this is how you build momentum without feeling burnt out, without wanting to just like throw your hands up and burn your business to the ground, right? We don't want that. This is how you make money in a way that feels good in your body. So some final words here to leave you with: a repeatable framework in your business. Having a repeatable framework means you're allowed to rest, right? It means you're allowed to, you always hear this saying, but this is exactly the embodiment of what I'm talking about in this episode: is you're allowed to work smarter, not harder. You're allowed to systematize your brilliance, your magic, so you don't have to constantly question yourself, right? I also feel like this leaves a lot of room to get rid of some of that self-doubt, because whenever we sit there and ruminate on every single action we take in our business, we start to feel doubtful, right? We start to wonder, like, am I actually good at doing this? And that's because you're focusing your energy on silly, repeatable tasks that could be done in a more efficient way so that your energy is opened up to the money-making stuff, right? Connection, being present, being live with people, having conversations, deepening relationships, showing up on social media, right? Being visible, delivering really well for your clients, coaching your clients super powerfully. Right? That's where you want your energy to go. Not taking 5 hours to write an email from scratch that you could have templated out, you know? Creating a repeatable business framework isn't about like the rigidity of it. It's you want yourself to be resourced. You want yourself to build a business that supports you. So if you want to see how I do some of this behind the scenes, if you want access to some of those exact templates and trackers and visibility tools that I use, I do a lot of this kind of work and I share a lot of that in my membership CEO systems. It's basically just like this cozy, supportive space to build this structure out, right? With soul, with heart. A lot of my people in my membership are there because their brain doesn't think this way, right? But whenever you start to learn how to think this way, it becomes second nature. And then that creates so much momentum for you to grow in a sustainable way, for you to expand your business, for you to make more money and create a lot of ease without losing your integrity. So I'd love to have you guys in that membership. It's called CEO Systems. The link will be in the show notes for you. Thanks for being here. I hope this episode was helpful for you, that it gave you some tangible things to walk away with, to implement into your business right now. I would love to hear even like, what is one thing that you are going to be templating out in your business, that you are going to be deciding ahead of time, or making it easier for yourself to execute something without having to start from scratch, from the first idea of it. Like, what can you template? What can you repeat that will help support the growth of your business in the long term? All right. Sending you guys so much love. I will talk to you soon. Thanks so much for tuning in today. If this was helpful for you, subscribe to the show to make sure you're always in the loop when a new episode is out. And I would love to invite you to join me in the free Visibility and Tech Support for Coaches community, where we hang out and chat about all things visibility, tech, systems, and heart-centered business building. I regularly share tips and tutorials and go live every now and then, and it's just nice to be in a community with other like-minded coaches and healers. So you can join this free space at alignwellco.com/community, and I can't wait to see you there.